Yes.
Because Troy is also not here. And then find out a follow-up meeting with the big group. So the 15th at 2 o'clock for the small group, but then another meeting following. Aloha, everyone. Sorry about that. Trying to get out of another meeting. So is everybody here? It is now 2 o'clock and I am convening the Great Kupuna Caucus. Aloha. Representative Hashimoto is going to be calling in. He is on Maui, but we will proceed. We have a full agenda, and I'd like to start with the statewide mobility management report. With Caroline, are you presenting? Okay, could you unmute yourself? Great.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Caroline Kadirao here with the Executive Office on Aging, and I wanted to present today the statewide mobility report that was presented to the state legislature in 2015. And Senator, may I share my screen then? I think I can. Oh, no, I'm disabled from sharing my screen. It's just a few slides for those who love to have visuals like myself.
I think we don't have capabilities. I don't know.
That's fine. I can go ahead and just speak to the mobility report then. So that's fine. Thank you so much. So let me just go ahead and get started. In 2015, the Executive Office on Aging submitted a report. So we had been tasked prior to that legislative session to convene a statewide task force to address the mobility needs of Hawaii's Kupuna and people with disabilities. Now, this report addresses the development and establishment of a mobility management program and a mobility center in different geographical areas. And it also looked at the cost.
Sorry, Caroline, can I just interrupt you? We now have the capability of sharing screen, so you can go ahead and
great.
share. Okay.
Okay. I'll go ahead and hold on one moment. Let me go ahead and thank you. I do appreciate that. I know for me, and I know everyone has different modes of learning, I love visuals. So that's why I always do presentations with PowerPoint presentations. So let me take a step back and let me share it as a slideshow. Hold on one moment. Okay, can everyone see that okay? Oh, my apologies, it went back out. Hold on. Okay, so this was again, a report that was provided to the state legislature in 2015. And again, it tasked our office with convening a statewide task force to address mobility needs, to address the needs of Kupuna and people with disabilities. So the report address the development and establishment of a mobility management program and a mobility center in various geographical locations. It looked at costs and qualifications of transportation, mobility, what it would cost to have mobility coordinators in these geographic areas, and the logistics of developing mobility centers and programs throughout the state. And then it also looked at a master plan for each county. Okay, so when we talk about mobility, the definition of mobility management, we're looking at an integrated strategic approach in coordinating a full range of mobility services in communities and transcends beyond the fixed route transit system that we're all very aware of, like our public bus system in the different counties. And this model employs mechanisms to manage the demand, directs the people to appropriate transportation services, and uses resources in the most cost-effective manner. The proposed framework really looked at a strategic public responsibility that transit agencies were beginning at this time. Now, remember, this was around 2013, 2014, to embrace a broad variety of ways and mechanisms to provide transportation. Of course, we're very aware of public transportation, taxi services, our handy van system. At that point, they were also looking at ride share programs that were very, at that point, in their infancy, also looking at things like what we know and is very common today, Lyft and Uber and various programs like that. And they really were looking at how do you tailor it to the local settings and the circumstances within each of these locales. And it also looked at ensuring that the quality of the travel experience, regardless of what assets were being used, were paramount to this mobility experience. The summary from this report, and this is the area I wanted to focus in on, is the summary and the recommendations that came out of this task force. And then where do we want to go with this and what has changed? So I'm going to get into that. So Hawaii's 4 counties at that point had been developing their mobility management programs over several years. And in 2013, 2014, when this group convened, it looked at what are the new technologies at that point, smartphones and software that could help to support transportation systems into the future. And it also recommended that states should continue to support the county's efforts to address their rapidly aging populations and all others who need accessible and affordable transportation. So there were recommendations for both the state legislature and also for state administration. So for the state legislature, it looked at how do we fund local mobility projects identified by each of the counties as priority strategies. It established a mobility manager position, and there's actually a job description in this report that we could take forward if we wanted to look at strategies for this. But it looked at establishing a mobility manager position in the agencies designated by each of the counties to further develop those mobility plans in each of the counties. It supports public education and outreach plans. Another recommendation was to build a web-based directory and search tools that could support future funding and tax initiatives for human services transportations in each county. And it established a mobility planner coordinator position that I spoke about earlier at the state level that would look at funding and providing resources to the designated state agency. And then the recommendations at the state administration level was to provide statewide leadership and coordination to the 4 counties as they leverage federal funding opportunities and other statewide mobility initiatives. And also to establish a statewide purchasing cooperative among the counties and human service providers to procure for new vehicles, technology, and equipment that they would need to coordinate these mobility management models within each of their counties. So what I'd like to do is kind of fast forward, where are we in 2022? And this task force had been under, at that time, our director, Wes Lum, who had put together this report. And there's been a lot that has changed since then. Of course, technology has advanced. Think of what cell phone you were using back in 2012, 2013, and what we're using today, right? Change in administration, a change in the legislature. So a lot has changed since then, but I think if this is something that Kupuna Caucus, Executive Office on Aging, wants to take a step back and look at what were those recommendations, where are we at now, it really requires us to look at what are our transportation needs now in 2022. And our assessment that we're doing for our state plan has a section about transportation. So I think that may be a good starting point to look at what are the needs that are coming out of our surveys. So we will take a look at that and we can report back on that. And I think we just need to look at what are promising models, what's being done in other states, what are some of the challenges? I can tell you one challenge is that we are island state, right? So you would need possibly four different plans for each of the counties. And where are the opportunities for us to collaborate and partner in this venture? I will say that I know this was had been brought up, and I wanted to be able to provide just a very brief, the 30,000 mile overview of what that report was. I know Charles does have a copy of that report. I'm not sure if it's been sent out to all of the Kupuna Caucus members, but I think it'd be a great report that we could start from, a framework that we can go back, look at what was done back in 2013, 2014, and where do we go with it from here? I think that's our next steps, is to really assess. One thing I'd like to actually, a promising model I think that is being used by Medicaid is that they have, it used to be logistic care, and I think it's been since reframed under a different program, but when you need transportation and you're under Medicaid, on the back of your Medicaid card, there is a phone number for transportation. So you call and it tells you, please select your island. So you select your island. I'm on Oahu, right? So when I do transportation for my son, I select Oahu and I can schedule a ride for him. It's a great program because it's statewide and they have vendors and various vendors that they can put, that they send out. Every time it's a new vendor that I get that comes and picks up my son. But that's a model that I think is very promising, that maybe our aging network would want to look at in the future and could help to not to take over what we already have. We have a lot of transportation providers, not a lot of transportation, but we have our current transportation providers. This would help to support, not supplant what we're already doing, and really to support and expand the ability to provide transportation into the future. So I know this was of interest to the group, and I just wanted to see if there were any questions. I may not be able to answer them. I was not part of this transportation mobility management report back then, but I will do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Anyone? Do I see any, either in chat or raise your hand or let us know?
Does it? I'm. Hi, everybody. Hi, Senator.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see you. So who are you? Can you announce yourself and then your question?
Oh, let me stop sharing.
Sure.
My apologies.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, okay.
It's me.
Oh, okay. Hi. Okay.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Caroline. I just wanted to ask, does this also involve the transportation with the bus also, this program? Sorry, I came in a little bit.
You know, there were a variety of transportation. So the report looked at all the transportation at that time. And one of them was our public transit system, but it looked at what are all those models? What works best if you were to do a mobility management around and have all of these as options for individuals? I'm not sure if that answers the question.
Oh, no, it does. And thank you so much for sharing this report and bringing us up to speed. It was really great. I was just wondering, because, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I think this morning on the news, they were talking about all the increase in passes, and the seniors got the biggest increase from $6 to $20. And I was just a little, concerned about that, why the seniors got the highest increase and how it was determined. That's a big hike for seniors to take on.
Was that their 4-year bus pass, I believe?
I'm not sure, so that would make sense.
I'd have to look into it, but yeah.
Is somebody from the city here to answer Dr. Balaz on the hike in the transportation for the Kupuna? No, maybe we could follow up on that.
Yeah, we could, Senator. Yes.
And Charles put into the chat the mobility plan. It's so you can download it from that chat. So is there any update from any of the counties that you could get, Caroline? So
Yes,
that,
yes, I haven't had a chance to do that deep dive yet into, since that plan has been written, what has transpired. And that would be our next steps. And we could maybe report back at a future Kupuna Caucus meeting, because I'm really at this point, and my apologies, not sure since it was written, what is the status in each of the counties. They did talk about having a master plan in each of the counties, and I think that would be a follow-up that we could do for a future meeting.
yeah, that would be really helpful, I think, because this plan was written in what, 2015?
Yeah, 2015.
So, it's at least if we know that the counties did something or didn't, or why they didn't, that would be helpful, just to report back on what did you do on
Right.
this plan.
And I'd also like to, once we close our assessment surveys, is to look at what is it, what are the needs? What are we hearing from the community as far as transportation? I mean, we have a lot in that survey, but transportation is one of them. So, we can extrapolate some data from that and share that at a later date. We'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Oh, Lay Lermont has her hand up. Yeah, Lay,
Okay,
please
as
proceed.
as
Thank
a,
you.
as a Kupuna who's partly disabled, I have to use a cane to walk. I'm very concerned because they're reducing the number of parking spaces. I still drive, and also too, when I had some friends who were handicapped using the transportation to and from places, you have to sign up for it and you have to call. With one person especially that I knew, she was legally blind. She had a hard time because sometimes she had to wait quite a few hours from the appointed time they were supposed to come and pick her up and drop her off. So it was kind of like torture almost, because they were not timely. So does that still exist? Are there enough vehicles with drivers that are more timely and picking up the senior and dropping them off at their sites?
That's a very good question. I can tell you from my personal experiences, I've had some really great experiences and some that, especially sometimes handy van, if they have either a bus that may be down or something like that, sometimes there is a delay in services. I'm very interested though in what you stated about the reduction in the parking spaces, because I want to say about 2 years ago, or maybe it wasn't 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I thought a bill had been passed to increase the number of handicap stalls in parking lots. So I'd be happy to have someone look into that, because I thought that there was supposed to be an increase in the number of parking stalls.
Mhm.
Which I actually kind of took note of the other day when I went to Costco. They've taken that whole side of the parking lot, and they have more handicap stalls there now. So we could have someone look into that and see. But I really thought that, or if anyone knows of any, I thought there was a bill that was passed that was going to increase the number of stalls.
Maybe you could check with DCAP and
DCAP would
see,
know.
and then
I'll
and maybe
check.
report back next time.
Right.
Those are good points to make.
DCAP would know, because I think they were the ones that were supporting that one. I'll check with Kirby on that.
Thank you.
Okay. So any other questions on the mobility plan or actions? Okay, well, that's a segue into maybe you have the transportation part of your EOA plan, but you can talk about your state plan process.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share with everyone, and I don't have a slideshow for this, but I just wanted to share that every 4 years, the state of Hawaii, we are the state unit on aging for all aging services that are provided through the Older Americans Act, and of course, through our funding that we receive from the state legislature. We are required by law to write a 4-year report. And so we we've already started that process and doing that first by collecting the data to see what are the needs in the community and how can we write our plan around those needs. And there's we have 5 topic areas that we're looking at. And I just wanted to share that we do have, and I encourage you, if you can help with the distribution of the assessment surveys, because that's the beginning of our planning process. We have created our 5, or actually we have 7 goals that we're going to be looking at. We're finalizing that now to make sure that it's goals that will be attainable over the next 4 years. There's a goal that looks at home and community-based services, a goal around equity, and that really addresses equity at all levels, the LGBTQ community, people with disabilities, disparate populations. So that's one of the others. We also are looking at disaster preparedness. And that's always been something that we've had in our plans previously, but something going forward. We also have a one around, I did mention the home and community services. And then there's 2 other topic areas that we're looking at. It has to do with partnerships and also workforce. So those are the areas that our plan has asked us to look at as we move forward. And so after we go through the data and we see what the needs are, then we'll start strategizing around what are the objectives, strategies, and action steps that we want to put in at a statewide level. And at the same time, our area agencies on aging in each of the counties are developing their own plans. And that helps to support the statewide plan moving forward. So probably in the spring, Senator and Representative Hashimoto will be going to the community to do our public hearings. And we'd love an opportunity, whether it's either, I mean, we'd love to come present to the Kupuna Caucus or just invite Kupuna Caucus members to any of the variety of public hearings that we will be having during that time. Really would love the community's support and feedback on our plan when we get to that step of the process, and just wanted to share where we're at this moment and where we plan to be into the future.
So are you, when you go out to the community, is that going to be in tandem with the AAAs, or are you doing separate ones and the counties are doing separate ones? Because it
Right.
seems like you might have similar interests.
So what they have are called area plans on aging. We all look at the same five topic areas, and we have the same, and that's where we've come to agreement on, and it's almost ready to be shared, but we've come to agreement on what are those 5 or 6 goals that we want to achieve to address those topic areas. So we are doing it in tandem. They look at it from their respective planning and service areas. So for City and County of Honolulu, they'll be looking at what are those needs within the City and County of Honolulu. Same with County of Kauai, County of Maui, and County of Hawaii Island. So, and then our statewide plan incorporates some of those components, and also what are our statewide visions for all of that. And we will create our objectives and strategies around that.
Any questions of Caroline on the planning process, or on the plan, or on goals or objectives?
I can come back later once we finalize the detailed wording of the goals, and I'd be happy to share that with everybody. I think I did already send out the survey links, but I will get them back to all of you to share with the rest of the Kupuna Caucus members.
Oh, so a survey is going out now?
Yes, we started in May, and we're hoping to keep it open at least through the end of August. We've already received about 1,200 aging in Hawaii surveys and about 350 caregiver surveys that we've received feedback on. We haven't had a chance to actually start pulling together the data, but those are the surveys that we've received back thus far.
Okay. So if any of you haven't received the survey, let Caroline know.
Yes, please let me know. I'd be happy to share it
Yeah.
with you.
So you should all provide input into the survey.
Please, 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 yes.
Anybody else with question? Oh, Donald Sakamoto. Hi, Donald. Proceed.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I just got a question. Caroline, I came kind of late, but is the survey accessible for persons with special screen readers like JAWS, myself,
Yes.
for accessibility to fill out?
So Donald, I'm pretty sure does JAWS does read PDF, am I correct?
Certain PDF it can, but HTML or what you call that? Survey Monkey is pretty good for us.
Okay, because we do have it in SurveyMonkey also. We've provided it in different forms. So would SurveyMonkey be the best bet for you?
Yeah, that would be good, and you can confer with Philip Anna because he uses technology too. So
Right. He's my go-to person for that.
you're lucky to have him. Yeah.
I know, I am very lucky. But yes, we'll make sure that you get a copy of that, Donald. And
Yeah.
there is one for caregivers, and then there is one for aging in Hawaii that looks at aging throughout the continuum, right? So anyone can take that survey. The surveys are roughly about 10 minutes long, so it's not anything overtaxing, and we'd love everyone's input. So thank you so much.
And when can you get the results from all the survey to be compiled and they have some kind of synopsis of what happened? You would do that afterwards.
Probably in the fall, around October timeframe,
Oh, good.
because we're going to need to use that data to support our strategies moving forward for our state plan.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to working with you with the statewide mobility transportation plan later.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? I see that Helen Stewart wants to be added to your list, both for the
Will do.
caregiver and
Yeah.
for the aging.
Got it.
So she has in the chat her email address.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to copy it right now.
And if anybody else would like to and that is not included or has not been included, why don't you put yourself on the chat, and then Caroline can take your email down and send something to you. Okay, any other questions, anyone, comments?
Well, Senator, I'm so sorry. One last thing.
Oh, yeah,
If
okay.
SurveyMonkey is not, or if you are in need of paper copies, you can call our office and we'd be happy to mail out the surveys to anyone that's interested in a paper copy.
So can you put in chat your
Sure.
email and your phone number? So if they don't come on this chat, they can forward it to anybody else they know. The more people who sign on to this survey, the more helpful it is for our programs to cover as many
Definitely.
interests as possible. Okay, I don't see anyone else's hand or anybody in chat, so we will proceed. Okay, next on the agenda, before we get to the future caucus meetings and topics, I do want to say that who asked that we missed the boat on having the governor signing all the Kupuna bills, and we did have sort of a banner year. We had the extension of the renewal for the driver's license. We had Hawaii Saves. We had the Kupuna caregivers, Kupuna care programs combined so that we could get more flexibility. We had the enhanced payments for state licensed skilled nursing facilities. And we had funding for the Kupuna Care, the Aging and Disability Resource Centers, and the dental benefits to MedQuest. So there's a lot that we got this year for Kupuna. And so we were asked whether, since we missed the bill signing, whether the governor could come and do a proclamation or, come and be part of letting the Kupuna Caucus know that we accomplished a lot for the seniors. So thanks to Rep. Takayama, he is available on August 5th. So that will be our next Kupuna Caucus meeting. And if you have any ideas of what you would like him to do with us, we will feature the governor at our next meeting. So Caroline, we could work together with EOA and slash Babia if you want, and make that a meeting where we can celebrate the Kupuna.
Great. Okay.
So if anybody has ideas on what you'd like him to do, it would be, we've scheduled him for 2:00, our usual Kupuna Caucus meeting time. And we could work through EOA on putting something together so we have a nice program. Maybe we could even, I don't know, we don't meet in person. So I said, well, we could have refreshments, but maybe we could pretend to have refreshments. I don't know. Have a cake we could show everybody on the screen. But I think if we are able to meet, we could certainly try to get the conference room, here at the Capitol. But we can work together on that. One more thing, Caroline, to work on. But and I do want to just mention that Representative Hashimoto, Caroline, and John McDermott and I are working on the Council of State Governments, looking at long-term care reforms at the federal level and state level. So we are looking at working with some of the nursing home providers and caregivers to look at some of the areas that we would like to see improvement in our long-term care system. So some of you who are in the provider category may get a survey from both Representative Hashimoto and myself, asking you to answer some questions. And we're hoping to put that together in a way that we can focus in on what we might want to do, not only for this session, but taking forward to the feds, so that we could see some ways in which we can support a more quality long-term care for our frail elders. So it's the other end of the spectrum than what we've been working on to prevent and help seniors age in place, but it is aging in place at the other end of the continuum. So if you have ideas, interests, please let us know as well. Oh, and Caroline, Kathy J. Cox also would like a survey. So you can look at.
I started a list. Thank you.
Okay. So anything else? Any questions, anyone? Donald, is that you have your hand up? Yes.
Yeah, Senator, I just got concerned. I have an individual who is a senior blind. She lives in Representative Scott Psyche's district. She has already contacted him about rent control. Her rent went up. She's month to month. Her lease ended, so it's all month to month apartment. Went up $130, and she doesn't qualify for low subsidy because she makes too much, a little bit over what the requirements are for low income. So is there anything that was passed or was in motion with the legislature to help persons in rent control?
There's no rent control, but there's rent supplement programs.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think we can control. There's nothing on rent control. But if she could send her name to me, then I'll follow up and talk with Speaker Psyche about that too.
Okay, I have your contact, so I'll forward
Yeah,
it.
just email me. Yeah, rather than, or you could put it here when it says just send it to me directly rather than to everybody.
Right, I have her sent to you. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. Okay, anything else, anyone? And I don't see anyone else. Okay, so the last thing, are there any announcements? Anyone? Announcements? Anyone with ideas for future topics for the caucus? Okay. Donald?
Yes, sir. Senator, I just want to make an announcement. I will be going to the National Federation of the Blind convention in New Orleans. And our group in Baltimore has been advocating for the home kit for COVID. And I'm glad that the Biden and Harris administration was able to get some kind of device to read the COVID test for persons with vision impaired or blind. But we're still working for those who don't have technology to use what they are recommended. And just to let you know, the statewide elections committee for the state elections had their second meeting today. And they're trying to do a survey to get feedback from the community for the voting for persons with special needs, the elderly, the disabled. So
Oh, good.
that's going to be going out hopefully soon. So I'll forward that to the committee too, so you folks can participate in that.
Okay, great. And just to let you know, yesterday the governor signed about 4 bills that deal with using state and federal monies for broadband capacity. And there's training, I think, to be had for Kupuna and Keiki in digital literacy, so more people can get connected to, and it'll go through the libraries for one of the bills that they can help people learn and get to use computers to get connected. So we are moving ahead into the future. So, EOA, somebody at EOA, and then Diane Tirada.
Yeah, Rick Tabor here. So I wanted to follow up on the hearing aids and the audits. I sent you a bit of information on that. Where are we at with that? How long do you think it would take to hear back from the auditor? And then third part of the question is, could we have them come here and actually present it to us? Recommendations are.
The auditor usually does the study, and I will check up on the auditor because before any kind of benefit gets passed or supported, the auditor has to do a sunshine review, and that's what I know. There's a whole bunch of bills like that to the auditor first, so I don't know what's on his plate, but I will check with him and see what the status of that is.
And did you receive the information I sent you last time to forward to him around hearing aid? You asked me to write something?
No, I don't. Oh, yes. No, sorry. I didn't. Sorry. I will look at it. I'll look for your email and I will talk to him about it and then send him. Yeah.
Thank you, Senator.
Diane. Anyone else in the EOA conference room before we leave? No. Okay. Diane.
Hi, Senator. I just wanted to mention that I put the flyer about the candidates fair that Lanakila Senior Center is having next week, Wednesday. The invitation goes out to candidates who are running for offices within the Ward Avenue to Fort Shafter area, which is the target area of the center, but also state offices. So if people are interested in attending, they can call over to the center, mostly because they want to make sure they have lunch for everybody if they want to attend.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Thank you for Lanakila doing this. So anyone, it's on the in the chat from Diane, the flyer candidates. And it is, Diane, remind me, what day is it? July?
It's next week, Wednesday, from, 10 o'clock to 12. Yeah, so at the senior center. Parking is somewhat limited, so people should try and carpool, but they also have arranged for valet service.
Okay, so it's next week, Wednesday, 10 to noon at the Lanakila Center. Okay, any other announcements? Dr. Balaz.
Thanks, Senator. I just wanted to mention, I just returned from the conference in New Orleans. It's funny that Donald's going, but for the National Association of Director of Nursing and Administrators. And I guess more of a comment, I just really want to say thank you to the caucus and Caroline for really working on, these issues, because one big thing that came out in the conference was across the nation, the long-term care, it's facing the workforce shortage, as well as, some of the new regulations coming out from CMS and from the Biden administration. And so, it's everywhere. Everybody's kind of really worried about how we're going to be able to continue to move forward and be sustainable in the long-term care arena. So, it's happening everywhere.
So we sent you an email. So can you please answer it from what you learned at New Orleans?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Any other announcements? So if you have ideas then for our meetings going forward and who can come and speak to us, just email it to either me or Charles or Rep Hashimoto, and we will start to and give us names of people if you know who can speak to it, or we can follow up and look into it. And I will, Rick, I will check with the auditor on the hearing aids.
I think, Senator, real quick, I finally have my video on, but I reached out a place I could jump on. But generally speaking, I know there was a question about rent, right? And I think that's going to be an issue that we're going to have to tackle. We know that rent relief has pretty much expired from the federal government. It's all been exhausted. And so we know it's going to be an issue for our community for those who are tapping that with the rising rent prices. And so I think that's probably something we're going to have to address this coming session. You know, I think there are programs like TANF that we did, and state rent supplement, you know, but I think those are for lower income folks. And as you know, I think there's going to be this gap group that are just going to be kind of displaced. So we know that it's an issue. We tried to start a pilot program for Kupuna through the Kupuna Caucus. We got really close, but I think there was just so many competing priorities. But I think we're going to have to figure out how to close that gap. So maybe, you know, this group that needs to be tasked with helping us to refine that pilot program for Kupuna, who are you know, seeing that possibly going to fall into that gap group, are going to be in that lower area that usually would qualify for state rent supplement, but there's not enough. So I think that is an area we probably should tackle. But I think that's a good point. I know that's your district person that's going to be asking you for help, but I think it's going to be something that's going to happen throughout the state. So I just wanted to make that quick comment.
Good point, because of the, you know, the lack of funding now coming with the rent supplement that was coming, rent relief that was coming from the feds, that we really need to look at rent. And this one case here of not being able to afford these high increases in rent is really something maybe we could look at tackling. And as Rep Hashimoto says, well, why don't you start looking and talking about it? And we could bring that up as maybe one of the next topics and bring in some people to talk about it. So if that's of interest, Rep Hashimoto probably can pull that together from the Housing Committee. Okay, great. Anything else, anybody? Okay, I think that is it then. That's all that's on our agenda. There's no other business. I'm going to ask for adjournment. Okay, well, anybody else? Last chance. Okay, thank you all for coming, and happy 4th of July. We look forward to seeing you on August 5th. And I don't know, Rep Hashimoto, if you were here, but the governor is going to come, so we'll plan with Caroline how we do that. Thanks to
yeah, so it's a must. You can't miss the meeting.
Yes, so we're stuff it with all kinds of stuff.
All right, thanks everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.